Hello, hello. Welcome back to Diary of a Psychic Medium with me, Amber Amrine. Today, Pamela Downs joins us to share her powerful awakening, the often messy reality of becoming a channel for spirit, the power of authenticity and the inner child, and unlocking your soul's wisdom, and so much more. Here we go. Alrighty, just a friendly reminder, next week is our monthly Mystic Mail episode of the podcast where I answer all of your questions about the cosmos, about spirit guides, ghosts, you name it. If you have a question, you can send me a DM on Instagram at Channel with Amber. If you're listening on Spotify podcasts, leave a comment with your question. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts, leave a review with your question. Don't be shy, send them my way. Okie doke. Coming down to Pamela. Pamela Downs is a multidimensional soul body healer, trance channeler, and spiritual guide who works directly with the Great Council of Light to support humanity's awakening. She helps people clear soul level imprints, reconnect with their inner guidance, and remember who they truly are beyond conditioning, trauma, and past life patterns. Here's Pamela. All right, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for joining us. Can you share a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Oh my goodness, yes. It's so funny because I'm like, who am I?
It always happens, which is why I like asking this question.
And we're always changing every day. So who am I this week, this day? I am currently right now really stepping into my becoming in such a really beautiful kind of full version of myself. So I lead a spiritual community that I received a download to create in 2020. And I've been leading that since January of 2024. And through creating that and listening to the guidance and the wisdom that I received and, following all of that with one step in front of the other to become myself continually, I started working with people. I started, building platforms and channels, and I started sharing my wisdom that I was receiving as a trans channel, and my predictions and my videos. My predictions and downloads and all of the things. So I had to take my time getting used to being that public with all of the things that I was experiencing, witnessing, and to share that with the world. But right now I've moved into healer over the last 9 months, and in a profound way. And I never aspired for any of this. It wasn't what I ever thought I would do when I grew up, and as I enter my 50, I'm about to become 56 in a couple months. I was thinking about this decade and how it's nothing that I ever thought I would be or do. I thought I would be a marketing expert. I thought I would build a multi-million-dollar marketing business. I thought that I would lead more employees and have larger teams and work with more companies and clients, because that's what I did for my whole entire career since 2000. But I sold my marketing firm last year, and as of January, have stepped fully into doing the spiritual stuff.
Beautiful.
Which I love. Yeah, which I love. So that was a long answer to a little question. And, but it's fun, and it's my greatest pleasure. It brings me so much passion. So that's who I am now, Amber.
How did you get into spiritual work?
I just started having my spiritual awakening journey. And that was in around I say between 2008 and 2012, a lot of things happened in my life. A lot of shifts happened in my life. A lot of people call them, not near-death experience, but moments that changed your perspective, moments that shifted everything in your perspective. And that's what happened with me. I was a youngish mother. My kids were little. I was married. I had a business. I'm a sister, I'm a daughter, I'm a friend, I'm all the things. And I lived a certain way for a very long time. And when I started having big questions about love, big questions about religion, big questions about what do I believe in, what do I want to bring to my children, I started to realize I didn't know. But I didn't know what I believed in, but I knew what I didn't believe in anymore because it didn't resonate. And I started making some choices around what didn't resonate. And that involved, exiting religion. That involved exiting teaching my kids my religion. That involved exploring things I hadn't before, diving into spaces I hadn't before, wanting to know more about, what this world was, where my place was in this world. And I started by learning, and I don't know how I experienced it. I don't know where she came from. I think it was The Secret, the movie The Secret. She had like a hot second in this movie before she asked to be removed from it. Esther Hicks, she channels a collective group of beings called Abraham. And she pulls down and shares this wisdom about the law of attraction and universal laws and the universe in general. And I found her to be just so cool. Like I didn't understand at that time that my life was, I was going through my knockdown, as I said, the recession came, our life was changing. And I really identified with what she was teaching at the time. She was talking about you are the manifestor. You create your reality with your words. And I had this realization of, oh my goodness, I'm creating more of the same. I don't want to do that anymore. I started really witnessing my talk tracks. I started really witnessing what I was saying. I had that moment. I remember the separation moment when I realized I was the witness of my thoughts, watching myself having the thoughts and speaking. That separation of I am greater than this body happened. And I said, I have to change that. I'm in control of that. Like, if I'm not in control of all of the things that are happening in my life, my husband losing his job, us losing our home, my business slowing down, we having to leave our house, like, I am not in control of that to a certain extent. I can control my words. I can flip that upside down. And I did. I started talking about how I kept my business in a recession and how we found this little house, then how I could walk my kids to school. And I started changing that part of my life, and I started seeing things change. I started seeing some people come in, other people leave. I started seeing experiences show up that were really aligned, that I had nothing to do with, that I didn't conspire with. I didn't push, I didn't shove, I didn't strive. And I got invited to a psychic medium gallery. I walked right front. I didn't pay for the ticket, by the way. It just came to me. It was something I wanted to go to that I heard about. And I walked front and center. I sat down. And I had never been to one before, ever. And he goes, okay, so tonight we're going to get started. I'm going to connect to your deceased loved ones. And he goes, so I might come over to you. And he goes, you. And I was like dumbfounded, like, what? And he goes, your father's here. It was alcohol, it was his liver, and I was like, that's exactly how my father transitioned. He died of alcohol. And he goes, or I might go to you. And I literally was like, what just happened? So he goes, we're going to get started. And so he comes over to me and he goes, your father's here. He wants you to know how talented you are. Now, I had grown up as a musician and an artist, and he never told me I was talented. I was afraid of my father. He was an alcoholic. And then when he was sober, he was like, they call them dry, drunk. He had the same attributes and behavior, but he was, he had a lot of anger. And he said he never told you how talented you are. He never told you that he loved you. He's so sorry for how he treated you. And he sees how you're showing up in your life, and he wished that he could have done better. Like, there are those moments that you cannot deny. You cannot deny. And from that moment, it was like, my father lives on. My father lives on. And I had watched him die, and I remember seeing the energy leave his body. And at that moment, wondering, like, he was here, where did he go? And through the experience with the psychic medium and him coming through, it was like life exists after we live on this plane in this meat suit. Life exists, and he is somewhere. And that started the quest of where is he? That really was like, I need to learn more. I need to be doing all the things. I need to be reading all the things. I need to be watching all the things. And I found myself in the metaphysical section of the library, like just devouring everything. The first book I read was Many Masters, Many Lives by Dr. Weiss. And it opened me up to past life regression and past lives. And I just was down the rabbit hole of everything and anything. And that was the beginning of my spiritual awakening journey, which led me to what I talk about and teach about is satiating my spiritual intelligence, right? My brain wanted to know all the things because I had only ever lived by my brain. Even though I was an empath and a creative and a musician, didn't know I was an empath, didn't understand how intensely I felt energy, didn't know why I could feel people or know that I liked people immediately. But through understanding that and through learning more about myself, I really, became more versed in things that were metaphysical, things that were metaphysical, woo woo, is the word that they used. And I wanted to understand where Jesus went. I wanted to understand, and attend things. So I started doing yoga, and yoga was like the very first thing that I have had such a departure from yoga. I'm feeling such a pull right now in my life, which is kind of incredible to go back. But at the moment, you're running a business, you're running a family, you're running a home, you're running all these things. And you're always in some space or place thinking or planning or reacting or saying, I should have done this or I need to do this. And yoga gave me the space to like connect to the body, connect to the breath, allow intuited information to come through, allow my higher guidance to come through, allow guidance from my guides to come through. And my deceased loved ones started coming through, and I started opening up to my clair senses, and I started having lots of dreams and synchronicities. And I mean, it was kind of amazing. And through that, I started my healing journey because I wanted to experience Reiki. First, I wanted to learn about it. Then I wanted to, go to a practitioner. And that's how the healing journey started. And through different experiences where I was able to like open up my heart chakra, open up my throat chakra in these profound, unbelievable ways, it gave me the wanting, the desire to continue to learn more and more and more and more. And that's a very quick version of how I got to ayahuasca. I knew I had to end my marriage. I knew that the contract was over. I knew that there was like a whole opportunity for a new life, a new me on the other side of that decision. And I had a lot of fear I needed to move through in my life. And one of those things was like, how am I going to do this on my own? How will I take care of my kids? How will I take care of myself? And like those moments of self courage, those moments of really trusting the knowing that you have, it builds that muscle of your clairs. It builds the things that everyone has, these gifts inside of us. That's our spiritual technology, but we don't know and we're not taught. So it's through this discovery of self and the connection to that higher divinity that is us that we start exploring all those things and using them and then becoming more at one with them to understand that they are it is us. It's innately how we were created to be. And I had this deep knowing that I was supposed to go to this retreat center in Costa Rica. I watched a video of the man who created it. I heard his story. I had this profound experience and I knew I was going there. I had this clear cognizance of I am going there. That's where I'm supposed to go. I had no desire to do plant medicine ever before. It wasn't something people were doing. It's not something that I was like, oh, this will be fun. Actually, it was the opposite. I was scared of it. you know, I think it's funny, right? And there was one person in my life that did it, and I asked her to share it with me after the fact that I knew I was going to this place to help me prepare for it. But other than that, I knew I was going to this place, and I went there, and I had all kinds of healing that happened in that week-long journey. I was divinely placed there. I didn't need to figure out how I was getting to this place. It was partly gifted to me from the universe. I was handheld and put into this place where they closed the whole place down and they only had 40 high conscious leaders that were going to be there. I was asked to be a part of this group as a guest, and I had to say yes. I had to pay for it. I had to find my way there with custody and work and leading my company. And because I said yes and pushed through the fear of all of those challenges, I had a deep, deep healing over multiple days where I raised my frequency each time each time I healed past life, each time I healed instances in this life, each time I pulled generational like trauma from my children 2 different times, and I healed generationally. It was incredible. And at the end of that week-long journey, my vibration was so high. I'd done so much healing. We did a breathwork class, and I remember just doing it. It was not really like comfortable either. I remember we had these devices in our mouth, and like we were trying to like do the Kundalini thing sort of. And I had this white light shoot through my third eye, fill my entire body up with vibration, pure love. And I heard everything from this moment forward will be different. Your psychic abilities have been enhanced. Actually, it was backwards. So psychic abilities have been enhanced. Everything from this moment forward will be different. And I felt love. My whole body was vibrating. My teeth were chattering. My skull was buzzing. I was crying. I lost my breath. And after that happened, I came home. And 2 months later, like it was full on COVID. And the whole entire world was quiet and different. And our lives were different. And my custody was different. And my work schedule was different. And I had this time where I could sit every morning and say, because I had the knowing, right? The clairs were all opening, the chakras had blown open and were running. I was tapping into my abilities of seeing, hearing, feeling, having experiences with energies. I was full on, everything was dialed up. I said, I want to know more about that realization. I want to know more. What does that mean? I want to partner and co-create with my heart open, trusting this now wisdom that I was receiving. What does this mean? Let's do this together. And every morning I sat with intention, with love. I called in my guides. I did all the things that I knew at the time to protect the space and all this stuff, but I had to have a certain amount of trust and allowance to have these exchanges. And I started having experiences with different beings. I started pulling in different galactic beings. I said at the time I was so open that I was like a rest stop on the galactic highway. I know that sounds funny, but that's how it felt. I just felt like I was having experiences with different vibrations, with different frequencies, with different beings. I would see them, I would draw them, I would record my experiences. Their light language was embedded in me, and I kept working, and I started connecting with this divine collective of feminine divine beings, these angelics, these mother beings, and they would come in, and I would heal past lives. I would have to experience the death. I would see that. I would dream about the death at night. I would have to release the emotion. I'd have to release the energy, the trauma, the whole experience from my soul body. I did it over and over and over and over and over and over again. I can't even tell you how many times I did it. And I got to a point where I raised my frequency, where this new group of beings, the Great Council of Light, who I am in partnership with, I am an aspect of them, that we started this transfer of energy, and they started trying to work through me. There was one day when I saw this spiraling little light language energy come down and went zoom into me, and I started those, and then it came out. And that was the first time we connected, and then we worked together. And so they, as a trance channeler, the beginnings of when I started working with them was in trance channeling. I would put myself into this state. I would connect. I would get and connect with my breath, and I would feel the energies come in. And we had to learn how to have relationship. We had to learn how to work together. They had to learn how to transfer and intuit into my physicality using my intelligence and my language and my voice box. And, it was rough for a very long time. And I recently was preparing for a presentation in September at the San Diego Transcendence Retreat, and I was like, I should include some of those recordings. Like, I didn't, but I went back and listened to them, and like, you can hear it, like, it's the coolest thing. And when you're on this journey, which we all have these abilities, this is what I'm doing now, is helping to teach people this, because this is what is next, and I'll get to that later. But we all have this spiritual technology inside of us that exists, our chakras, our pineal, our clairs, and more. And then we all have the ability to do this. We channel all day long, every day. Like, we don't know that we're doing that. We've not been told that we're doing that. But we are moving into the new human. We are moving into utilizing these abilities every day of our life. This is what the future is. This is what actually here now is. We are doing this now real time. And it's it's ever changing. And I, was putting myself into meditation, and they would come in, and so they started sharing messages with me. It started out with who they were. In the beginning, Thoth came in, Ra came in. I have this Palladian guide that sits on my right side. Avril, he came in. The Divine Mother beings came in. All these different galactics came. I was like, I didn't understand why, but I had to have this full, like, spectrum experience to understand the frequencies, to understand to understand the ecosystem of all that is. And the council started sharing messages of our world, started sharing predictions that were to come, like war. This is 2020, that people would fall far from their positions, that there would be, a financial shift on our planet, that there would be a glass ceiling event that would happen. I saw it, the glass ceiling breaking, and people stopping in their tracks, not understanding who and what the world that they have believed in is. Actually, it's happening now, real time. And, there have been so many moments that they've shared with me, like potential timelines of an awareness campaign of ships in the sky just presenting themselves to be in control of the narratives. That also that there would be a fake alien invasion of, we haven't talked about this yet, but of whatever, is the narratives are and the agendas at place, that they're trying to control the narrative. Like, there's all these dynamics that are happening. They're all potential outcomes. They were giving me all of these in 2020 and beyond, sharing them with me, showing them to me. I would draw them, and they were profound things like exit the stock market, get yourself situated and divvy it up. They would tell me, divvy it up with this, with this, with this, get supplies, get this, get this, get this. Get your house in order so that you can rest assured and move forward with your work, because they know my mind. They know that part of what I was worried about as a single mom, newly divorced, was how will I take care of everyone? How will I do all this? They know me because I am with them, and they know this version of me and how I need to progress through fear. So they took care of what needs to be done immediately so that I could move forward and say, okay, I got that. Supplies are done. Figured out. I don't need to worry about that. It's not fear, it's preparedness. And in 2020, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was told spirit calling, spirit calling. I got up, I wrote it down. In the morning, I bought the domain and I filed it away. And then over the course of a year, while I was getting these visions, these downloads, all these things, and the glass ceiling event was told to me, I kept hearing, you need to build a platform. It's a portal. It's a portal for humanity, for this event that's going to come. They need a safe place to land. They need a place where they can explore their spirituality, where they can be with like-minded people, where they could talk about what they're learning and they're experiencing. And then by the end of a year, I literally was like, I can't do that now, guys. I have other things that I've already signed on to do, like start a new business with somebody. And at the end of a year, I woke up again, and I saw this little iPhone falling down on the face of a little icon falling on the face of an iPhone. And I got up and I drew the little wings, and I woke up, and I just had this moment where I knew that it was spirit calling. It was the portal. It was the platform. It was the logo. And I just went, oh my God. And I said, okay, send me the people, send me the funding, send me all of it, and I will be your humble servant. I will do it. And this woman came out of nowhere in my neighborhood, and she said, I want you to help me with marketing and branding for my company. And we worked together for a while. And then at the end of her project, we were on a team call, and she said, Pamela, can you hang on? And everyone left. And she said, she was a Reiki master, holistic healer. She said, I had a vision last night. I was told to get a download. I was told we're supposed to work on a different project. It's a portal. It's for humanity. And it was like, okay. I just started crying. I'm like, all right, you want me to do this? And they told me to leverage. I had just purchased a house for my mom, who helped us during the recession. and I was able to buy it back from her. It was huge. It was the only thing I had left. And the guide said, you need to take the equity out of that house and build this platform. Like, I'm told what to do and I do it. I'm told what to do and I do it. And the time came to launch this bad boy. I woke up with a dream in the middle of the night. I saw a for sale by owner sign on my front lawn. They told me how much, exactly the instructions for what to do. And I went, I'm not ready to move yet. I'm not ready to do that. And I'm serious. This is what I was like. I'm like, oh my gosh. But the deeper knowing is that I need to do it because they've told me this is coming, this is coming. They gave me instructions what to do. Like, I'm not going to suddenly start taking the wheel and like saying, no, I'm not doing that. We're going to do it this way. And I walked across the street that morning to pick my dog up from a play date. And my neighbor said, what are you going to do when your youngest goes to college in the fall? And I said, I just decided that I'm going to sell my house. She goes, you know, my father loves your house. He knew the woman that lived there. Let me ask him if he's interested in it. I sold it in hours, as is, cash, me not putting 1 cent on the table, and I could pick my closing date like 5 months later. And this is the level of I am in union in partnership with this is how I live my life, you know, great counsel and I, which I am aspect of. This is a business partnership as well as a life partnership as well as it's like it's everything. And they lead me and tell me what's next. And I've just been able to step so fully into that. Do I have fear? Yeah, of course. I mean, everybody has a level of fear when it comes to trust, but I've begun and have lived and seen my life changed and know that this is my soul's purpose. I mean, when it's time to sell the business, to move fully into spirit calling, yes. Holy crap, I'm going to do that. Yeah, it's time to do that, you know? And they had always said in 2020, I would be doing instantaneous healing. And I was like, I mean, they know that I get intimidated by big visions, by big statements. And they always told me it was a global thing. In the beginning, to say millions of people to be helped was like, whoa, now, I mean, I can't say millions, it's billions. If I am going to help and we're going to help this planet and this and humanity, it's billions. And now, since 9 months ago, I've been healing. I've been learning this technology that apparently I am in my aspect. You know, I'm pulling it through from her, and I'm rebuilding soul bodies. I am activating DNA and light codes. I am clearing fractures on the soul body and rebuilding the pieces that need to be rebuilt. It's kind of unbelievable. And all of this is I've learned with them. I haven't learned from anyone except for with them. And I'm doing things like it's a spattering of everything, like all the things I've done through my life, like soul retrievals and regression and past life stuff. Like I have ancestors coming to participate in clearings. Then I'm going in and channeling divine wisdom that people need to hear, like their deepest desires they've never shared with anyone. Then I'm going in to clear their soul bodies. And it's like, I am becoming Amber. So next week, it could be something totally different.
I totally resonate with that. I did a interview recently and we were talking about the concept of transformation. And I'm one that always, transformation is like my lifestyle at this point. And we were kind of diving into that where
Yeah.
everything is
Right.
always changing, especially if your purpose is one of service. And especially during this time period, there's so much
Yeah.
changing all the time. So what is needed from you is going to be different all the time. My boyfriend and I
Yeah.
have sort of adopted this like little nomadic lifestyle for the past year and a half or so, where we're just sort of traveling around because I know certain areas need my energy. There's information for me as well residing in these areas. And I feel like when
Yeah.
we talk about it, there is something that sounds very magical and exciting, and it is very magical and exciting, but it's also incredibly humbling and vulnerable to a intense
Yeah.
degree. But that surrender to that, nonetheless, is where the magic happens. You know, it
Yeah.
I think as people are starting to develop their intuition more and they start getting these intuitive nudges and things like that, it's like logistically, it's like, okay, if I get a message, sure, I'll make the change. But when it could potentially affect your like
Right.
innate well-being, it's not that easy. It's not that easy to trust. But the more that you
No,
trust, the
it's not.
easier it gets, and the more that you see that you are actually held. The analogy I always think of is like a
Yeah.
racetrack, cars driving. You know, there's someone in their head being like, okay, go to the left, go around this car. You can't hesitate. You have to move because they're seeing this general map. You don't see it because you're on the ground. So the more that you work in tandem with them, the
Yeah.
easier. But also, you have to kind of give full support there, or full trust rather. And
Yeah.
with that too, it can create this sort of sticky space, I suppose, where I've noticed as people are learning how to develop this skill, there is a tendency to sort of give their free will to their guides, where
Yeah.
there becomes a lack of taking action or thinking for themselves, because then there's like, oh, I am, working for my guides, but they're working for you. What do you want? They will help get you there. But
Correct.
it's
Yeah.
a very conscious collaboration where you're not just a robot, It's very nuanced, but it does require you to put in a little bit of input
Yeah.
too, because you are ultimately the portal into the humanness of it all, which
In
is
charge.
what, yeah, that's where the stuff needs to shift. So they need a human on the team in order for things to actually get done as they need to.
Yeah. I love that. I'm the human team member. It's true. And I love that you said that because I feel that so deeply. A lot of people like you have free will. You are in charge. This is your experience. This is your soul's experience. This is your physical experience on the earth's plane. Like you are in control of your body. You are in control of all decisions ultimately. And it's a partnership. I don't know how to say it any other way than it's a partnership. Um, but I also feel the parental part of it, which feels so loving. And they see my struggle. They see my fear. They see my deepest fears and my wounds. And they know part of why I came here is to go through that and to learn that and experience that for my soul. But sometimes I laugh when I talk to my girlfriend Dina, like they're up there laughing at us, like, "Oh, you silly human aspect, like, come on now, like get over it now. Haven't you learned yet?" Like, you know what I mean? Those sorts of things. Like, and you have to be like joyful with it and easy with it because that's what it's all about. They talk so much about being joyful like the child, being in wonder and amazement like the child, and being in that space of just not knowing, but knowing the deep trust, but with discovery. And I mean, there have been incredible moments that have happened so many times in my life where I have had nothing to do with what has come to me, except that I have my vibration and my trust and inner alignment happening, right? And they say continually we are conspiring. Why? I mean, 2 days ago, I was saying they know that I have fear about something. It's a big contract. And they talk to me when we channel and they're like, "Dear one, we've told you, like you have no fear. There's no worry. It's already been figured out. Like you do not like basically knock it off, kid. Like we've we've told you so many times and you've seen it been evidenced in your life. Like what are we still doing this for? You know?" But that's our experience. That's our three-dimensional experience. We live down here. Yeah. Yeah.
I will sometimes I feel a lot, right? And I will just get frustrated. Like, I think my way of processing heavier emotions is like I just need a baby like tantrum and I'm good. And then I'm good and I can
Yeah.
focus again. And sometimes when I'm having that
Yeah.
tantrum, I'm like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And they're like, yeah, you are. You are. And you're going to, and it's going to be great.
That's right. I can identify to that. I can identify to that too. I'll have to have a tantrum every now and then, or just really because we have to release it. We have to release it. We feel everything so tremendously, Amber, and anyone who's listening, that's a good thing. But sometimes it's a lot, And, we have to have grace for ourselves. We really, truly have to have grace for ourselves. And we want to do the best, and we're serving others, and we want to fulfill all the things that we're here to fulfill. But we also, we have that inner child that is tired and that is frustrated and is worried and has fear. There are also pieces of tapping into the inner child, you know, and that's okay. It's all part of the journey.
I feel like the inner child aspect for me personally has been the most, that's been my superpower, I feel, through this journey, where if you just go with curiosity, if you're just having fun, everything becomes a bit of an adventure. It takes the edge off of everything, and children are so much closer to the divine, right? They don't
Yeah.
have that programming that we get as we grow older. And I feel like tuning into our inner child in a way is almost the closest we can get to fully embodying our soul, especially for those that are just starting their spiritual journey and not sure how to embody something so pure or so all encompassing like the soul. I feel like the inner child is such a powerful doorway to that.
Yeah, I agree. It is. It makes it easy. It doesn't make it feel unobtainable.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it feel I don't know if you've seen this, but this is what I'm seeing in my experience. There's like a divide happening now. The guru is gone, and it's all about embodiment, number one, and not, unity, obviously, but not separation. Like that's my superpower, is that I am able to just be me. I'm not trying to be anybody else but me. And I share my story, and I share that I was scared, and I share I am still scared. I just
Yeah.
channeled for an hour on this whole Portal to Ascension thing with all these famous channelers. And I was like a kid. I was like, whoa, I was excited and scared at the same time. That's part of who we are. And but I'm supposed to share who I am. That's my job. And then I happen to have all these skills that I've tapped into only because I've been on this discovering, becoming journey longer than someone else. That's all. And so with my witness of my story, of my heart, of myself, people see that they are me and I am them, and they can do this. Something gets sparked in the transmission of my voice. I hear it anytime I'm on a podcast. I get inbox messages everywhere. Something you said, I had that. This is who I am. I have that, dad, that work, that like, it's unbelievable. And it took me 2 years to figure out, like, it's because this shift is happening. Consciousness is going to expand and explode immediately with this shift. And all of those who are starting to tap into the spiritual intelligence, experiencing it in their daily lives, watching shifts and changes and choices happen, watching their life change, their consciousness expand. The people who've been on it a little longer, who now I'm watching, learning how to channel, it's because it's what we're supposed to do. It's one of the gifts that we have, you know? And I have to stay ahead of that wave
Mm.
by tapping into what I need to do to help support these people as they're moving. And it's incredible. It's awesome. And so, yeah, somebody said to me, Pamela, I love how you're so excited about it still, how you're so in all of it still. I'm like, yeah, yeah, I am. Like, it's so cool. I had no idea I'd be doing what I'm doing right now. And I have no idea what's coming the rest of this year or beyond. And I'm excited to see what it is.
Yes, it's so fun. It's interesting, actually, when you were sharing your story, particularly about
Yeah.
shifting religion, it reminded me of my mom, because my mom is Latin and they're very religious culturally, frequently. And
Hmm.
she started to explore Wicca when I was young. But there was still this like duality, even with my dad. He came from a very Catholic background, but he had a stroke when he was 7. So he had full recollection of like passing over, attaining all
Wow.
of this like universal wisdom. Like he just felt like he knew everything. He knew the purpose of life, why we're here, why he's here, all of this stuff. And
Mm.
then to come back into this world holding that as a child is a very destabilizing thing to experience. So both of my parents started to sort of dive more into new areas, but I still went to like a Catholic preschool. I went to a Catholic private school for kindergarten and first grade. Yet I was like trying to teach everyone about like magic and spells and stuff like that, which was interesting. But I also feel like being
Oh,
exposed
wow.
to different kinds of practices allowed me to see through, I guess, I don't want to say the facade, but uh, the human filter that we place on these divine teachings, and it allowed me to really see
Mm-hmm.
the similarities and figure out what I resonated with. I really resonated with a lot of aspects of Hinduism as a kid, and just being exposed to that and being able to find those
Yeah.
deities and feel them and ET stuff. It was just so interesting. I
Yeah.
have no idea where I'm going with this or what my point was.
Well, it's important. It's the journey. Yeah. It's what others are experiencing, and they don't know why they're supposed to experience all those things, but
Oh,
they're
yes.
important pieces. You don't always understand why at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say. I feel like as time has progressed, I have the same thing where I feel like I get some sort of shift or download, and then, we like go and hunker down and support everyone going through it as well. And
Hmm.
it's been so cool. It's just such a cool process because my system, I don't know, I guess is designed to be able to maintain a big mix of different stuff. I really sink into the nuance of energy, and I love unpacking like the different layers and how deep it goes and stuff like that. And it's just such a special job to then be able to help people find it for themselves. And again, I know a lot of people ultimately strive to do that as well. And I think I just want to like help reassure people that it might sound like butterflies and rainbows, but it's not. It's not. It's
It's not.
wonderful and it's magical, but it does come with
Yeah.
quite a
Right.
responsibility.
It does. It definitely does. It's not for the faint at heart. But it's not supposed to be. It's not supposed to be. And I love that you said that, because I think it's important for people to know that they think it's all unicorns and rainbows and butterflies and sunshine, and like you have this spiritual awakening. Woo, life is grand. You know the secrets of the universe, and it's like, no, you get to you get to go through experiences to expand your soul consciousness and your vibration, like to align with the future version of yourself that's already there. And these involve choices and sacrifice and change and healing and physicality sometimes, and huge life shifts, and anything and everything you could think of, right, Amber? So, but all I can say is at the time you don't, just like I said before, at the time you don't understand the whole picture until you maybe travel a little further and you see some pieces being put together. And so that's always happening. Like it's just always happening as you're traveling the path.
How could you say people, if they're starting to lean more into trust, do you have tools you would suggest people can lean on to support their devotion, I guess, to that path and not get stuck in the spiral?
Yeah, that's a great question. The only way to experience it and learn, or to learn through it, is through experience. So you get to start using your discernment. You have to flex the muscle to learn, just like anything else. And so self-trust and learning that part of yourself is you have to take chances. Here's a small example. You start, and I hear this all the time, Pamela, I want to share it with I want to share what I know with everyone. I want everyone to know what I know now, but I can't. Like, I can't. I did that. I did that, and I'll never do it again. Well, you had to have that moment to understand how to read the room, how to understand who's in front of you, how to understand who's open, who's not, who's seeking, who's searching, who's aware, who's not. It's like You have to experience it and go through it to understand it. It's working with the inner trust, the discernment, all the things. And you get to a point where it shifts and you become the witness and the observer of the room. And you use your senses to tap into the room, to tap into the person. And it's not about safety, it's about receivership. Like, if the person's able to receive, when do I do that? When do I trust myself to make the action, to say the thing, to do the thing? You'll know. And if you don't feel like it's time, you don't have to do anything. You sit into it more deeply. You sit into the moment, into the understanding, into the wisdom, into the time more deeply. There's my former business partner and I would always say there's no fake deadlines. Well, there aren't. Like, you create what feels complete resonance with you. And so, sure, take the chance, say the thing, do the thing. You have to learn more about yourself. And it's also, you're learning the dialogue, the language around what you know and understand. You're learning how to speak about, like, it's the whole thing. Break it down into every part of all of this. It has its own ecosystem. It has its own thing that you have to learn. And self-trust is a continual thing. You can sit deeply into your knowing. You can pull upon your clairsenses. You can pull upon who you are and your sovereignty. You can pull upon all of that, but you're going to make mistakes. It's just the three-dimensional experience. And you have to have grace for yourself when you make mistakes. You have to know, I thought that person was someone I could trust. I thought that person was someone who was in alignment with me. I thought that person had my best interest at heart. I thought that person was spiritual. You're going to learn that a lot of people will say and speak a lot of things. It's through embodiment and presence and actions that you see spirituality being lived in real time. It's all part of the process.
Yeah, and it's a process. It's a journey. I remember, I think during COVID, there was this girl that had reached out to me. It was, I wasn't well versed in MLMs at the time, but she was very clearly part of one, and was trying to recruit me. But it was this like it was like health related. And so I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. And I remember when she was trying to like schedule a meeting with me and stuff, I kept seeing all of these synchronicities and I've got this really strong feeling to go for it. So I was like, okay, great. Sure. I'm not sure where this is going, but let's try it. And so I went in and I was like, huh, this is not what I was expecting from all of these signs and feelings.
Yeah.
But they actually
Yeah.
had a really thorough like marketing program or something. And I was like, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. Let me
Yes.
explore this
Yes.
and figure out how to apply this. And it taught me a lot for marketing, which was fantastic. But it doesn't
Yeah.
always unravel how we think. And I think going back to that childlike sense of being, kids just so effortlessly throw themselves into things. They'll wear a costume, they'll speak with an accent, they'll like, who cares? You know what I mean?
They'll do whatever.
And I feel like the more that we can kind of mimic that, not only does it allow us to better understand ourselves, like, oh, maybe this personality doesn't fit, or maybe this kind of clothing doesn't feel great. But then other times it's like, ooh, maybe not that, but these earrings kick ass, like something like that.
Yeah.
It helps kind of inform who you are. I feel like there's so much power too in kind of presenting almost as your soul presents. Or just, I don't know, I guess it's like
Yeah.
if your soul tends to feel more like deep, rich colors, wear some deep, rich colors when you want to feel more connected to that
Yeah.
part of you. It just helps with that
Mhm.
physical embodiment of that. I
Mhm.
remember there was when I think this was when I was a teenager, my dad had joined this spiritual center and we would go to events frequently. And there was this one woman, I don't remember her name and I don't remember what the event was, but all that I remember is this, and this has always stuck with me. She had said something like, I am simply a reflection of you. I am your mirror. So, however you view me is how you view yourself. If there's something about me that you feel really attracted to or you really like, you're just seeing that within you. And if there's something about me that you do not like, you're just seeing that within you. And I remember when I first met her, I didn't like her that much. So she said that, and I was like, oh, interesting. And I realized that because at that time, I was just starting to really strengthen my abilities. I was slowly starting to do this work more professionally, and I had a big fear of being seen. I had a traumatic childhood. My dad was also always struggled with alcoholism, and there's just so much. So I felt like I had to live in the shadows in order to survive. So putting myself out there as much as
Yeah.
I wanted to, I was a dancer, I acted like I wanted to be out there, but there was such a deep part of me that was also terrified of that. And seeing someone kind of expose themselves so vulnerably, that part of me was almost trying to find all the reasons why that was wrong. And it shifted something in my head and started this perspective that I share a lot, which is essentially the same way when we dream, everyone is an aspect of our consciousness. The same holds true physically. Everybody, everything is a reflection of you in some way. And it takes the pressure off, because if you do a talk to a group of people or you meet someone that has, I don't know, that has some sort of like high status or whatever, who are they? What version of you are they representing? It takes the edge off a little bit. And again, leaning into that childhood sense of wonder and imagination, like, fuck it. Maybe they are. Like, just try it out, see what happens, play with it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. You took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say exactly that. Like, why am I here? Why am I with this person? What is this person teaching me? Why is this experience? Why was I invited to this? Oh, I don't know why. Why is this person triggering me? Why? Let me discover more and more rather than just exit. What is the lesson here? Like, exactly what you said, because it all serves a purpose. You might not understand why, but you got to sit and say, is my trauma speaking? Is that my fear speaking? You got to give things a chance. You have to give things a chance across the board with everything. Things come to you. You have to look at it and say, don't let your fear, don't let your automatic response, with everything, like with a potential partner, a romantic partner, with somebody that you meet that's new, you have no idea what's on the other side of that. You have to give it a chance, don't just let automatic responses, decisions take over. And there's so many pieces of it, Amber, to talk about, because that's also trust. That's trusting that the universe is giving you an opportunity to learn something. And what is it? Let me be playful and find out, or whatever. Let me be in joy and discover, and you can start to do that yourself just with simple things like, if you hear something, you're out somewhere and you're feeling a pull towards someone, get out of your comfort zone and go over to them and say, hey, you're at a networking event, or I used to be at the supermarket and I would get little nuggets of that woman's a teacher, or she's this, or she's that. And this is in the beginning. And I would be like, oh, I should go see it. And I'm like, no, I can't. I fear it. She doesn't know. And then I would walk up and be like looking at oranges where she was like, I hope you don't mind it, but I'm trying to work on my abilities. And I felt like I just got a download that you were a teacher. Yes, I am. And they're like little moments to help you in your development, but they're also little courageous steps towards just being playful and fun, and like not letting things hold you back, and being in the space of discovery, because that's where that, like you said, we kind of are going back and saying things over and over again, but in different ways. That's where the magic is.
Absolutely. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
play. I feel like the biggest takeaway is people need to feel comfortable and safe enough to curate a lifestyle that supports them. I think especially right now, as everyone is shifting and awakening more and more, the old ways of doing things just don't work anymore. They just don't. And
No, they
I've
don't
had
work
this
anymore.
conversation I've had this conversation a few times where, even stuff like, we're so quick to label things. ADHD, autism, those are two that are really big right now. If that many
Mhm.
people are on the spectrums of those, perhaps it's not an abnormality. And maybe we're just shifting into a new way of being. And it's okay to kind of, I don't know, lean out of the box a little bit and find new ways of coping. If your system is very sensitive and you need to fiddle with something, fiddle with it, for God's sakes. That's fine. Who cares? I feel like there's so much self judgment of trying to look and present a certain way. But
I agree.
the more that we can just honor how our body naturally moves, how it naturally works, figure that out, give it a chance to do its magic, figure out a lifestyle that revolves around that, so that we can better understand who we are and like why we're innately here, what's natural to us, why we operate the way we do. That's where you start to kind of connect the puzzle pieces together and anchor into your soul purpose and find a way that allows it to like spread out, share it with the world and such.
Yes, I agree. It's beautifully said.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Well, to begin closing, let's see. What do you have a particularly favorite story, perhaps from a session or just a download you received at some point?
Oh my, there's so many of them. Yeah, what I love, and this happens continually when I work with people. So I have a community like you, so people don't have to feel alone on their spiritual awakening journey. But then I have a mastermind, and then I do one-on-one stuff, in regular coaching, and then for business leaders. And when I channel wisdom from the council to help support people in these containers, and when I am able to pull out something that they have never shared with anybody, that is like their deepest desire, or it happened recently. It was one of my coaching clients, and she was going through a really difficult time with family and business, and they said I channeled around it, and so we can provide guidance and support. But there was this sentence that was like, "This is what she really wants to do. And this is what she really wants to do," and like forget all of it. And I laughed when I went back to read it, because I said, when I read it to her, we were in session, she just started crying. She's like, it is what I want to do. It's exactly she's like, I was just thinking it to myself. It's all I really want to do and be. And I'm like, I laugh because I still in my mind go, really? Like once I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard Prince Edward Island, and I wrote it down. Oh, last night I woke up and heard Jennifer Flowers. I have no idea what that means. Maybe that's someone that's going to listen to your podcast. But I woke up and I heard Prince Edward Island, and I heard this woman's name, and I wrote it down. So I got up in the morning and I looked it up. It was this historical figure that lived on, this woman's name was this historical figure that lived on Prince Edward Island. 2 weeks later, I got a new community member, this man, and he was from Prince Edward Island. I didn't even know there was a Prince Edward Island in Canada. And the woman's name was his wife, who was deceased.
Oh, wow.
Loved this woman who was this historical figure on the island, loved her, followed her, read about her, and so he was alone, and his deceased wife guided him to find our community. And he has changed and shifted in ways I can't even tell you. It's unbelievable. And like when we say they're conspiring to support us, they are conspiring. All of them are conspiring to support us on our journey. I love moments like that, Amber. I love those kinds of moments. But I also, have shared just recently, I only share my predictions and my visions when I get them. I don't do it for likes, clicks, algorithms. I don't do it for that. And so I channel a message for my community every month, and it's always perfectly timed. Love, support, and guidance, teaching them about how powerful they are and about the world and their place in it and how to raise their frequency and vibration. But May was about a disclosure event coming sooner than everyone thinks. May was very detailed about what was going to happen in the next couple of months and what was going to be a part of that disclosure event. And, here I am again, like, really, guys? You want me to share this? Heck yeah, you need to share this. Well, 2 days later, the president released like things, like I have to do these things. I also have pleasure in that too, like when I push through and share and do, because that's the becoming I started the conversation out with. That's the becoming,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, yeah, yeah, and having conversations like this.
Yeah. I work a lot with like ET abductees, and I've had my own experiences there as
Hmm.
well. And I think what I
Wow.
appreciate about this space is there's room for all of it. And I'm very well aware that there are stories that I share that sound very out there. And sure, like I'm well aware that they sound like that, but also this is my life. And this is
Yeah,
how
right.
my life has unfolded. And I feel a responsibility to, if we're going to get weird, I know someone somewhere is dealing with this stuff and they don't know what to do about it. So I will
Right.
happily be the guinea pig.
Yeah. You have to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would you say this
Mhm.
work has taught you about identity and how quickly it can shift?
Oh my goodness. That literally the ego just goes away, man. And you have a higher version of yourself that is really present within you. And I will not allow fear to hold me back. I just will not. I will not. And so that's what I've learned on this journey is that, fear is there, and I won't let it make my decisions. I won't let it have control over me. I won't let it have force over me. And I think, continually enjoying the expansiveness of this work and the direction that it's moving. I don't know if I'm answering your question or not,
No,
but
you're great.
I'm just, yeah, I'm just loving this new chapter because I chose this, like I chose marketing and branding. I chose to go to art school. I chose to be a graphic design major. I chose the career path when I left college. I chose the next job after that. I chose all of those things in this three-dimensional world because that was the path. That's what I worked with the bundle of skills that I have. I have now moved into this whole other way of being, of working, and existing on the planet. And I'm enjoying discovering more and more and more of that as I choose it every day. So that's what I can say.
There's a quote that I read, gosh, I think when I was like 15 or something. I don't remember who it was by and I don't remember what it was. I think it was like a former US president. I don't remember. But it was something about how you can wake up every day and be a new person. Like the only
Mhm.
thing keeping us connected to old identities is our devotion to them. We don't have to. You can
Right.
literally, obviously, sure, there's like deeper programming that can come in there, but if you are allowing yourself to consciously choose a new path, when those things come in, you're more aware of them and have a little bit more power over them. And I think it's so interesting because our human brains obviously fixate on physical, tangible things. It likes things that it can see that are like solid and ingrained. But I feel like the more that we allow ourselves to disconnect from, I don't know, perception, that's when you even get into that space of like timeline hopping and quantum leaping. I
Yeah.
feel like while I understand that we are three-dimensional beings and, there is a relationship with the 3D that comes with that, I feel like it's kind of a sham.
Because when we kind of disconnect from that, that's where our magic lies. That's where we can kind of lean more into that soul wisdom and into that like mind bendy stuff, because we're open to the journey. We're open to shifting. We don't need to be at the mercy of certain things like we were before. I
Yeah.
think the
Yeah.
3D at this point, rather than it being our home base, I guess, like it has for society for a while, it's kind of shifting to now just being our, it's like being a playground. It's feeling more like a hologram, I suppose, where there's more room to kind of figure out how you want things to go or look, but it's starting from us. Like our heart, our soul is becoming that home base rather than the physical space. The physical space is becoming more the playground. There's less
Yeah.
devotion, I guess, to it.
Yeah. That was beautifully said. I love that. And I'm going to resonate on that because it flips the switch. It changes everything and it makes everything a little like more playful,
Yeah.
basically. I love that. Yeah, this was amazing, Amber. I loved this conversation. And I know that these conversations help so many people understand themselves a little bit more.
Yeah,
And it's important,
absolutely.
they're important words. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you?
Thank you for asking. I am at spirit-calling.com, but I created some free gifts for your listeners. So if you go to spirit-calling.com/diary of a psychic medium, all one word, you'll see that there are some downloads from the Great Council of Light. There's a booklet that they can use every day with inspiring words and wisdom from the council. Also, an ascension symptoms download, and then some fun things that I have going on. Like I'm really trying to support people who are waking up quickly, and I just launched a monthly event called Ask Pamela Live, where people can come and they can ask these questions and I can answer them in real time. And I'm so excited about that. And then I have a workshop every other month. It's called Answer the Call, where I help people learn more about what we talked today, do some energy activations and clearing. And it's a playground. It's a fun little place to step into. But you can find out more about my work, more about my one-on-ones and our community. But all my social channels are at Spirit Calling Pamela. So find me on YouTube and all the places to see what the council has to say, especially with predictions. But I just launched a spiritual assessment. It's a free tool. So you can see where you are. You might be surprised, and it's right on my homepage. It's a free tool for you.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. This has been such a joy. I've had so much fun chatting with you. I appreciate your openness and your
Me too.
heart.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel your heart too, and I appreciate having been a guest, and I loved our
Thank you.
conversation. Thank you so much.
Of course, of course.
Thank you so much for your time, for your magic, for your energy. It was such a thrill chatting with you. As always, the links to all things Pamela will be in the show notes. And one final reminder for our monthly Mystic Mail episode next week, send your questions over to Instagram at Channel with Amber. If you're listening on Spotify podcasts, leave a comment with your question. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, leave a review with your question. I will see you all then. I am sending my love. Chat with you soon. Thank you so much for listening to Diary of a Psychic Medium with me, Amber Amrine. To learn more about me, book a session, learn about my mentorship program, all that good stuff, you can visit channelwithamber.com. Follow me on Instagram at channelwithamber. Special thank you to Unicorn Heads for my theme song, A Mystical Experience. I'll see you next time.